They called it the wild alpha beast, so fierce that even the stars seemed to dim when it howled. No alien could tame it, no army could contain it, until one fragile human stepped forward and sang. The wild alpha was born in the jungles of Immerse 9, a planet where the atmosphere shimmered with liquid light and storms danced like living things. Its hide was black glass streaked with veins of violet fire, its eyes molten silver, reflecting everything and forgiving nothing. It was not simply a predator, it was a legend written in blood and thunder. For decades, the galaxy's greatest species had tried to capture it, the Vorthin with their armored mechs, the Krith, whose sonic nets could paralyze entire fleets. Even the Tirax, masters of mind control, all had failed. Each attempt ended the same way: wreckage, silence, and the haunting echo of a roar that could shatter metal and hearts alike. The Alpha wasn't just strong, it was untouchable. It seemed to sense fear before a being could feel it. It knew rage as others knew hunger, and it had never, in its entire existence, shown mercy. The Galactic Council finally gave up. They quarantined Erebos 9, declared it a forbidden zone. No life shall land there again, they decreed. Let the wild alpha rule its cursed world alone. But humans were new to the council. They didn't follow every rule, especially not her. Her name was Lyra Salone, a xenobiologist with a voice like sunlight through glass. She wasn't a soldier or a hunter or a fool. She heard it before she saw it, the low rumble of a growl that rolled through the jungle like distant thunder. The leaves trembled, the air thickened, every instinct screamed, run, but she didn't. Something deeper held her there, a strange vibration in the air, like a heartbeat in rhythm with her own. Through the fog of bioluminescent mist, it emerged, a silhouette of power and grace. Massive shoulders rippling with silent energy, eyes burning like stars reflected in oil. The wild alpha stood before her, its breath condensing in bursts of silver steam. Lyra froze. The creature tilted its head. It could smell her fear. One wrong movement, one breath too loud, and she'd be reduced to ash and echo. She whispered, barely audible, "Easy. I don't want to hurt you." The alpha's ears twitched, eyes narrowing, the air buzzed. She should have run. Instead, she did something far stranger. She began to hum. A melody, soft, human, fragile, cut through the charged silence like a light in a storm. It wasn't logical. It wasn't scientific. But it was alive. The alpha stopped moving. Its breathing slowed. For the first time in its recorded existence, it listened. Lyra's voice trembled at first. The air around her pulsed with danger, electric and sharp, like the edge of lightning waiting to strike. The wild alpha loomed only meters away, its massive form half hidden by violet fog and glowing vines. Every instinct in her body screamed to stop, to run, to survive. But something inside her refused. She had studied alien resonance patterns for years, the way certain species responded to sound frequencies. How music could shape emotion even across genetic divides. Maybe that training was guiding her hand now. Or maybe it was something older, deeper, primal. Her voice found stability. The melody rose, simple and haunting. A tune her mother used to sing when the nights on Lunar Station felt too long, when the stars outside looked like ghosts. The alpha shifted. Its talons scraped the obsidian ground with a metallic hiss. Lyra froze mid-note. Then, impossibly, it stepped closer. Lightning flickered across the sky, illuminating the beast in flashes, a cathedral of muscle, plated with armor that seemed grown rather than worn, veins of violet light pulsing under its skin. When it breathed, the world seemed to follow the rhythm. Lyra's visor flashed warnings: proximity breach, oxygen depletion, heart rate critical. She ignored them. She sang again, louder this time, and this time the alpha didn't growl. It tilted its head, curious, almost confused. The silver in its eyes rippled like stirred mercury. For a heartbeat, Lyra saw something flicker there. Recognition. "Do you understand me?" she whispered. No answer. Only silence. Then the alpha lowered its head, pressing its claws into the dirt, not in aggression, but in restraint. Something ancient was stirring. Long ago, Erebos 9 had been home to the Orelith, a race that communicated through harmonic sound, a language of pure frequency. When the species vanished, their resonance fields remained embedded deep within the planet's ecosystem. The alpha, born of this environment, carried that same resonance in its bones. Lyra didn't know any of this, not yet, but her song, human and imperfect, touched those frequencies like a key slipping into an ancient lock, and the world began to respond. The glowing vines around her started to sway in rhythm. The fog shimmered like water to her melody. Bioluminescent insects rose into the air, circling her in spirals of light. For the first time in recorded galactic history, The wild alpha lowered its guard. It knelt slowly, deliberately until its massive head hovered at her eye level. She could see herself reflected in its silver eyes, small, trembling, fragile. Lyra's heart pounded. "It's okay," she whispered, voice shaking. "I'm not your enemy." The alpha exhaled a sound like a sigh of thunder, and then, with terrifying gentleness, it reached out one clawed hand and tapped the center of her chest plate. A single note echoed from the contact, low and resonant, vibrating through her bones. She realized with a start it was answering her. A storm broke above them, rain like shards of crystal falling through beams of lightning. The alpha raised its head to the sky and released a roar not of rage, but of power restrained. It was not alone anymore. Lyra stood in the storm, drenched and breathless, staring at the impossible creature that had just sung back to her. She smiled through her tears. "Then we understand each other," she said softly. In that moment something sacred was forged, a bridge of sound between two worlds that were never meant to meet. The storm passed, leaving only silence and steam. The jungle of Erebus 9 glowed faintly in its aftermath, the ground slick with liquid light. Lyra's breath came out in shaky clouds inside her cracked visor. The wild alpha stood a few paces away, watching her. Its chest still pulsed with that strange rhythm, slow deep, like a heartbeat that wasn't just its own. Lyra knelt in the mud, trembling. She couldn't tell if she was more terrified or awed. The creature could have ended her with a thought. Instead, it had listened, and now, it was waiting. She tapped her wrist console, hoping her scanners still worked. Static flooded the display, but one line caught her eye: resonance frequency detected. 41.7 Hz. Synchronized source. Unknown. Her voice, and its voice. They were in sync. For the next few minutes, they simply regarded each other. The alpha's silver eyes flickered faintly, reflecting the dying lightning across the horizon. Lyra noticed scars across its body, deep, jagged, but healed. It had fought wars, maybe even against those who had tried to capture it. She took a cautious step forward. The alpha's tail twitched once, but did not strike. "You're not just an animal, are you?" she murmured. No answer came, but something stirred, a low hum, deep enough to tremble the ground beneath her boots. She could feel the sound before she heard it. It was communicating, not with words, but resonance. Lyra, her training flooding back, began to hum again, matching its tone as best she could. A wave of energy rippled outward. The jungle reacted. Trees shimmered with threads of light. Stones vibrated softly. Even the rain left behind glowing rings as if dancing to their frequencies. "This planet," she whispered, eyes wide. "It's alive with your voice." Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Lyra followed the alpha through the glowing forest. It didn't fly, though it easily could have. It walked, silent and sure, clearing paths with each heavy step. Eventually, they reached a valley, a crater vast and ancient, filled with crystalline spires rising like frozen lightning. In the center, a ruin slept beneath layers of glass and moss. The alpha stopped at the edge and looked back at her. A low sound escaped its throat, melancholy, almost mournful. Lyra swallowed. "Is this where you were born?" The answer came not in sound, but vision. The crystals flared to life, projecting images across the air, ghostly echoes of a civilization long gone. Towering beings made of light and sound, the Orolith, moving through waves of vibration instead of words, and among them creatures smaller, four-limbed, patterned like the alpha, not beasts, companions, guardians. Lyra's heart clenched. "They created you," she breathed. "You're their last echo." The alpha lowered its head. For a fleeting second, Lyra could feel its grief, a loneliness so vast it hummed through her bones. Her hand trembled as she reached out, touching the creature's muzzle. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "You were never meant to be alone." The alpha's silver eyes softened. The resonance around them changed, lighter, almost hopeful. But then, a distant rumble. The valley trembled. Lyra turned sharply. Far above, streaks of metal pierced the cloud ships. Hunters, someone had picked up her distress beacon after all, and they were coming to claim the wild alpha. The sound came first deep, mechanical, unnatural, a hum that didn't belong to Erebus 9. Then the sky split open. Through the shimmering clouds descended 3 ships, sleek, black, and armed. Their engines carved red lines through the mist, burning holes in the twilight. Lyra felt the vibration before she saw them. The alpha's muscles tensed instantly, its silver eyes flashing white-hot with instinctive fury. "No," she whispered, grabbing its arm. "Don't, please. They'll see that as an attack." But the wild alpha was already rising, its spine arcing, the air trembling with low-frequency energy. The ground cracked under its claws. It was ready to defend its home. Anta. The come in Lyra's cracked helmet crackled to life. Unidentified survivor. This is Captain Harith of the Kestrel Division. We've tracked your beacon. Prepare for extraction. Her pulse spiked. Kestrel Division private military, contracted by the Council. Their mandate was clear. Capture the Alpha, dead or alive. Lyra stepped forward, waving frantically at the nearest ship. This is Lyra Solen, xenobiologist, Terran Expedition Division. Do not fire, I repeat. Do not engage the creature. Static answered her. Then a cold voice. Human, stand clear. Target priority confirmed. A beam of light shot down from the first ship, slamming into the ground near the Alpha. The jungle erupted in chaos explosions. Searing heat. Shards of molten glass. The Alpha roared, a sound so powerful it shook the clouds. Its resonance ripped through the air like a weapon, distorting reality itself. The shockwave hurled debris in every direction. Lyra was thrown backward, landing hard on her shoulder. Pain flared white hot, her ears rang. Through the haze, she saw the Alpha leap an obsidian blur against the storm. It struck one ship with a single, earth-shattering blow. Metal screamed. The vessel spiraled downward, engulfed in flame. Stop, Lyra screamed, staggering to her feet. You'll kill them all. The Alpha turned to her, chest glowing, lightning crawling over its form. Its resonance was wild, now disordered, unstable. It was losing control. Lyra's training kicked in. She knew that sound waves could stabilize a resonance surge if matched precisely, but she didn't have instruments. She only had her voice. She forced her trembling body upright. Listen to me, she cried. The Alpha's head snapped toward her. Its fury paused just for a heartbeat. Lyra inhaled and sang. It wasn't a lullaby this time. It was a command, woven with desperation and courage. Her voice climbed, raw and unrestrained, matching the Alpha's frequency note for note. The storm around them shifted. The lightning dimmed. The beast's glowing form steadied. The ships above faltered. Their sensors went haywire. The humans' song, scrambling, targeting systems like static through the cosmos. Captain Harith's voice hissed in disbelief. What the hell is she doing? Lyra's throat burned, but she didn't stop. It's okay, she gasped between notes. Stay with me, just breathe. The Alpha froze, chest heaving, eyes trembling with something alien yet unmistakable. Trust. Its resonance synced again with hers, the chaotic hum turning harmonic. Together their frequencies formed a wall of sound that radiated outward, disabling every weapon system within a kilometer. The jungle fell silent once more. Only the echo of their combined song lingered, faint and beautiful. Lyra collapsed to her knees, gasping. The Alpha knelt beside her, lowering its massive head so she could rest a trembling hand on its brow. You listened, she whispered. You actually listened. But before relief could settle, she saw movement shadows descending from the remaining ships. Armed soldiers in exosuits. They were still coming. And this time, they weren't going to miss. The jungle's glow dimmed under the descent of armored shadows. 10 soldiers dropped from the sky, their boots slamming into the glassy soil, plasma rifles humming to life. Their exosuits gleamed with blue energies, one designed for hunting monsters, not saving scientists. Lyra staggered to her feet, her voice hoarse, lungs burning from the earlier song. Beside her, the wild Alpha crouched low, every muscle coiled, a predator caught between fury and restraint. Stand down, she shouted, waving her arms. You don't understand, it's not attacking. The squad's leader, his visor reflecting the Alpha's molten light, replied coldly through the comms. Our orders are clear, Doctor. Target is to be neutralized. Step aside. Lyra's stomach sank. Neutralized meant dissected, studied as a weapon, not a living being. The Alpha's head tilted toward her, sensing her fear. Its resonance began to rise again, a deep thrumming growl that made the air vibrate. Wait, no, she begged, pressing her hands to its side. They'll see it as hostile. Please, don't give them a reason. For a heartbeat, it listened. But then one soldier fired. A plasma bolt struck the Alpha's shoulder, leaving a smoking wound. The beast reared up, pain twisting into rage. It roared a sound like the tearing of a planet. The shockwave leveled the nearest soldiers, their armor sparking violently. Cease fire, cease, Lyra screamed. But the order came too late. Dozens of bolts flew through the stormlit air. The Alpha turned, wings unfurling like thunderclouds made flesh. Energy surged through its body, the ground splitting beneath its weight. It was about to unleash a resonance blast that would level the entire valley. Lyra's heart stopped. No, if it attacked, the Council would destroy the planet. They'd call it containment, but it would be extermination. She did the only thing left to do. Lyra ran toward the monster. The soldiers shouted warnings, but she ignored them. She climbed the jagged rocks, her boots slipping on shards of glass, her hands raw and bleeding. She reached the Alpha's chest just as it raised its head to strike. Her voice broke through the storm. "Look at me." Its eyes silver, storming with rage, locked onto her. She pressed her hands against its wounded hide. "You're not their weapon, you're alive. You don't have to fight." Her breath came out shaky. She could feel its heartbeat, deep and fractured. And then she began to sing. Not the calming hum she had used before, not the lullaby. This time, it was a requiem, a song of loss and connection, of one lonely soul calling to another across the dark. Her voice was fragile, cracking, yet it filled the valley. The Alpha trembled. The light in its chest flickered, dimmed, steadied. It recognized her pain mirroring its own. The resonance between them flared into brilliance. The crystals across the valley ignited, channeling their frequencies into the sky like a signal. Every soldier froze as the shockwave passed over them. Not destructive beauty. The Alpha folded its wings, lowering its head until it touched Lyra's forehead gently. Like a vow, the resonance stabilized completely. The soldiers' systems shut down one by one. The fight was over. Then, the ground shuddered. From the fractured ruins below, a pulse of deep light rose upward, a buried Aurolith core, long dormant, now awakened by their harmony. Lyra gasped, "It's responding to us. To you." The Alpha turned toward the rising glow. Something ancient was calling it home, but the soldiers were regrouping. Reinforcements were coming. Lyra realized there was only one way to save it now. They would have to activate the Aurolith core and vanish from the surface of Erebus 9 before the fleet above obliterated everything. The valley burned with light. From the heart of the ruins, the Aurolith core pulsed, an ancient machine alive with harmonic energy. Its light shimmered through the rain, resonating with the wild Alpha's heartbeat. Every pulse carried music, like a forgotten symphony calling across time. Lyra stumbled closer, shielding her eyes. "It's a transmitter," she breathed. "It's responding to our frequency." The Alpha stood before it, vast and silent, every vein of light across its body glowing in rhythm with the core. The two were syncing, creator and creation, finding each other again. But above them, the clouds split open one last time. A massive shadow blotted out the stars. A council dreadnought, its cannons charging with the power to glass the planet. The soldiers below fell back, shouting intercoms. Even Captain Harith hesitated, watching the spectacle unfold. Lyra's cum crackled with a voice from orbit. "This is High Command. All life forms on Erebus 9 are to be neutralized. The Alpha cannot be allowed to escape containment." Her stomach dropped. "No, you don't understand." Static swallowed her protests. She turned to the Alpha, desperation in her voice. "They're going to destroy everything. We have to use the core, it's the only way out." The creature looked down at her, those molten silver eyes reflecting her face. It seemed to understand. With slow, deliberate motion, it placed one massive claw on the core's surface. The world shook. Light exploded, outward sound, color, and gravity folding together. The resonance between them surged to a pitch, beyond hearing, beyond sight. The air itself became melody. Lyra fell to her knees, clutching her chest as her translator chip overloaded. Yet even without words, she understood what the Alpha was doing. It wasn't activating the core, it was opening it. A column of light burst into the sky, piercing the storm clouds and striking the dreadnought above. Its shields flickered, warped hand, then shattered. Not destroyed, but disarmed. Every weapon fell silent. The core sang through it. The voice of the Aurolith filled the air. Thousands of tones, layered in perfect harmony. It was not a warning. It was a memory. Images flared through Lyra's mind, visions of the Aurolith creating the Alphas as guardians, not beasts. Protectors of resonance, balance, and life itself. When their creators vanished, the guardians fell silent, their purpose forgotten, until now. Lyra's tears blurred the world. "You were never the monster," she whispered. "You were the last voice of something beautiful." The Alpha leaned down, pressing its head gently against hers. Its resonance vibrated through her body, warm, gentle, sorrowful. She realized what it intended. It was merging its life force with the core to stabilize it, to save her, to restore Erebus 9. "No," she gasped. "If you do that, you'll..." But the Alpha was already glowing brighter than the core itself. The sound rose, transcendent, pure. It was singing for her, for its creators, for every silent world that had forgotten music. Lyra screamed its name, though she had never known it. Her voice joined the resonance one last time, weaving into the song that now spanned the planet. Then, everything went white. Silence. When Lyra awoke, she was lying beneath a quiet sky. The rain was gone. The jungle shimmered, alive and reborn. The core had vanished. So had the soldiers. The fleet above had withdrawn, unable to explain what they'd witnessed. Only one thing remained, a faint, harmonic hum beneath the soil. She knelt, pressing her hand to the ground. The frequency was gentle, familiar. The Alpha was still there, everywhere, now woven into the pulse of the planet. Lyra smiled through her tears. You're not gone, you're part of the song. She took out her recorder and whispered softly. Field log. Lyris alone, Iravos 9 is no longer silent. The wild Alpha was not a beast, it was a voice waiting for someone to listen. Her voice trembled with emotion, and I did. As she walked toward the horizon, the air around her vibrated faintly, an echo of the melody they had created together. The story of the wild Alpha would spread through the galaxy, not as a tale of fear, but as a reminder. Sometimes, what the universe calls a monster is only waiting for a song.